Assalamualaikum dear students, this is Department of English Government Postgraduate College Attock. I am Sheheryar Khan and this is our BSc 4th year class, a selection of modern prose. We are studying The Damned Human Race by Mark Twain. The next paragraph is, Man is the reasoning animal. Such is the claim. Now reasoning animal mean the animal who uses reason, who uses his mind or logic, and it is believed, it is claimed that man is the reasoning animal. Man is the only animal that uses reason, his mind, or his wisdom. I think it is open to dispute. Open to dispute means open for discussion, that we can discuss whether this really is so. Is man really a reasoning animal? Indeed, my experiments have proven to me that he is the unreasoning animal. Now, indeed, in fact, my experiments, they have shown that he is not a reasoning animal. In fact, he is an unreasoning animal, an animal who does not use his mind and totally depends upon emotions. And therefore, we cannot consider him, or we cannot call him, a reasoning animal. Note his history as sketched above. Sketched above mean explained or elaborated, the way I have explained the history of man in the above paragraphs. If you note it, if you have a look at it, it seems plain to me that whatever he is not a reasoning animal. Then you will know that whatever man can be many things, but at least he is not a reasoning animal. And the history of man, it proves this fact, that being rational is not one of the qualities of man, one of the qualities of human beings. His record is the fantastic record of a maniac. Maniac is a person who is mentally abnormal, who is mad, who has psychological problems. Uh, the writer says that the record of man is a fantastic record of a madman, a person who fully acts not according to reason, not according to logic, but totally in an emotional way, or in a totally in an illogical way. I consider that the strongest count against his intelligence is the fact that with that record back of him, he blindly sets himself up as the head animal of the lot. I think that the strongest count here means the strongest proof against his intelligence, against his reason, that he is not a reasoning animal, is the fact that he has this record, this history of doing such horrible kind of things in the past. In the if we some of the examples that are already quoted by the writer, and still he believes that he is the head animal of the lot, that he is the best animal. Is not it totally shamelessness? Blindly mean without shame, shamelessly. He shamelessly claims that he is the reasoning animal, but his record shows that he is totally opposite of reason. So only a madman can claim that he is rational when his actions, they are totally against reason, whereas by his own standard he is the bottom one. And if we look at the real history of man, if we look at the standards which are set by man to judge whether one is a better animal, or whether one is a higher animal or a lower animal, if we look at it, then we will come to know that he is not a higher animal, but in fact he is the lowest one. In truth, man is incurably foolish. Incurably mean without cure, which does not have any, cure is a word that is used in the context of diseases. When you uh, cure somebody, it means that you have removed the disease of that person from his body. So incurable means something which cannot be cured, which is without cure. So in truth, the fact is that man is incurably foolish. He is means he is foolish, and he cannot, if foolishness can be thought of as a disease, then his foolishness or his disease cannot be cured. It is so advanced that such a disease can never have any kind of remedy. Simple things which the other animals easily learn, he is incapable of learning. Now, the simple things which the other animals can easily learn, he would never learn them. He would ignore them, or he would show incapacity to learn them. Among my experiments was this. I mean, one of my experiments, one of the experiments that I conducted, one of those experiment was this. In an hour, I taught a cat and a dog to be friends. In 1 hour, I taught that how a cat and a dog can be friends to each other. I put them in a cage, and then I put them in a cage uh, together. In another hour, I taught them to be friends with a rabbit. And in another hour, I taught a cat, the cat and the dog, that they should be friends with a rabbit. In the course of 2 days, I was able to add a fox, a goose, a squirrel, and some doves. And in a period of 2 days, I added to that cage a fox, a goose, a squirrel, and some doves, means all these animals and birds. Finally, a monkey, and finally, I also added a monkey to that cage. They lived together in peace, and they did not quarrel with each other. They lived in a very peaceful environment, even affectionately, even with love. Affectionately mean in a loving way. They lived together without creating any kind of mess, without creating any kind of problem. Next, in another cage, I confined an Irish Catholic from Tipperary, and as soon as he seemed tame, I added a Scotch Presbyterian from Aberdeen. Next, a Turk from Constantinople, a Greek Christian from Crete, an Armenian, a Methodist from the wilds of Arkansas, a Buddhist from China, a Brahmin from Benares. Finally, a Salvation Army colonel from Wapping. Now, look at some of these terms that are used in this paragraph. Irish Catholic is a Christian sect. Tipperary is an Irish county or a district. Tame, well-behaved Presbyterian, another sect of Christianity. Aberdeen, a city in Scotland. Constantinople, a Turkish city. Crete, a Greek city. Armenian, a person belonging to Armenia. Methodist, a Christian sect. Salvation Army, a Christian organization. Wapping, a town in England. Now, what the writer is saying, that in his experiment, first he conducted that experiment on those animals, that he put them in a cage, and he taught them that they should not fight with each other, and they learned to live peacefully in that cage. But next, what he did, that he put an Irish Catholic from Tipperary, and then he added a Scotch Presbyterian from Aberdeen, a Turk from Constantinople, a Greek Christian from Crete, an Armenian, a Methodist, and a Buddhist, and a Brahmin, and then a Salvation Army colonel. All these people, they belong to different faiths, to different parts of the world also, and also their religions are also different. Now, what happened after that when he put them together? Then I stayed away 2 whole days. After that, I stayed away 2 whole days. I did not go to that cage. When I came back to note results, the cage of higher animals was all right, but in the other there was but a chaos of gory odds and ends of turbans and fezzes and plates and bones and flesh. Now, he says that when I came back after 2 days, I saw that the higher animals, means the cat and dog and the rabbits, they were all alive, they were living peacefully together. But when I looked at the cage of the lower animal, that is the man, in which I have put all those people from different religions, I found that how they have fought with each other on different matters of religion, and gory odds and ends of turbans and fezes, means the dresses that they were wearing, the turbans they were wearing. Fez is a Turkish dress, and all of them, I mean, their dresses, they were torn, and their bones and flesh were scattered over there. Not a specimen left alive, and not even one of them, one individual, was alive. These reasoning animals has disagreed on a theological detail and carried the matter to a higher court. The reasoning animals, mean the writer wants to prove that how man is not a reasoning animal. So he says that if we look at the cage of uh, the higher animals, mean the cat and dog and rabbit, they were alive, they were living peacefully. But if we look at the cage of these animals, these reasoning animals, the man who calls himself a reasoning animal, what happened that they disagreed on a theological detail. Theological mean a religious matter. They disagreed on some religious matter, and they started to fight, and then they killed each other, and then they took the matter to a higher court. Higher court mean to God. They decided that now the God would judge them, that who was right and who was wrong. So this proves that if we look at the two, mean if we look at the higher animals and then the lower animal mean man, and if we look at the higher animals, they are they can be taught to be rational. They behave in a rational way in many matters of life. But if we look at man, who claims to be reasonable, who claims to be logical, but if we look at the history of man, and then we also look if we also look at the experiment that was done by the writer himself, we observe that how they prove that they are not rational animals. They are totally irrational. They do not use mind or reason. They totally are emotional, and they use rage and anger and things like such kind of emotions, and they do not use any kind of logic or any kind of debate or dialogue. So this is the difference between these two species, and the experiment proves, according to the writer, that man is not a reasoning animal, even though he claims, but actually he is not. So this is another point in this essay, that one by one the writer is proving that man claims that he is the higher animal, he is the best animal, but actually he is not. And if we compare his actions with the actions of other animals, we will come to know that they behave in a better way as compared to man. They are more rational, they are more logical, and you can teach them to be peaceful, but you cannot teach this to man. Man would kill, they would destroy, and they will always act in a totally irrational and destructive manner. So, we will continue this discussion in our next lecture.